Welcome back to another edition of New York Got Game. It's your boy Dexter Henry alongside Bryan Fonseca, coming to you on a, interesting time for Knicks basketball. The Knicks, they've won 12 out of their last 16 games, but things still don't feel right because their last game, they lost 109-94 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And we're going to have a fun episode here today because we are going to take your questions. This is a mailbag episode, but we got to talk about what happened in I was going to say the land. I hate calling Cleveland the land. I don't know why. It doesn't deserve that nickname. Cleveland.
Why not?
We're going to say, I don't like it. The land. No.
I mean, it's mostly just land, but,
Land nobody wants to go to.
Wow.
But that they know that. But
hey, we got a Puerto Rican community out there from
You do?
the research. Yeah, not a ton, but we got some people out there.
All right. But I don't know if they were watching this game. 109-94.
I don't know either.
If you were around social media, Knicks fans are tripping off of this loss.
Oh.
What a shock.
Really?
Yeah, what a shock.
Oh.
It was their third game in 4 nights, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Third game in 4 nights.
4th and 6 as well.
4th and 6. They had a terrible, terrible shooting third quarter. Their worst offensive quarter of the season. The worst offensive quarter by a team tied with the Golden State Warriors this year in the league. These things happen when you play 3 games in 4 nights. I know it's Cleveland. I know everybody wants to beat these other good teams. This did not bother me in the way that the Detroit loss bothered me. This loss, a lot of it is, there are things in it that you could be concerned about. Am I tripping over it? No. This is what happens when you play 3 games in 4 nights. This is what happens.
I had Cavs minus 3.5. So.
Because you saw that it was a good spot for the Cavs.
It was a great spot for Cleveland.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the problem, right? Maybe my expectations aren't high enough for this Knicks team. But going into it, it's a real thing. Saturday, you have just a rough performance, especially the second and third quarter against Houston. Mm-hmm. And then you have the best comeback you've had all season against a team who's really been bad in fourth quarters lately in the Houston Rockets. And the Knicks were able to exploit that, turn defense into offense. It's one of the best quarters that they've played all year. But it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to do that. You're flat against the Bulls, but you still win because the Bulls are the Bulls. And they've been maybe the worst team in the NBA for a few weeks now. But the hallmark of a good team in the NBA, which we think the Knicks are, is you can win despite not playing that well against poor teams. Like, that matters. So you have that back-to-back, which is a lot. Then you have 1 day of rest, and then you go to Cleveland. Cleveland, who's been playing really well since the James Harden trade, really well. They only lost 1 game, and it was against OKC, and it was in OKC since that trade. James Harden's hurt now, but still, they played really well. I did not expect the Knicks to win that game. Maybe my expectations should be higher, but I have a healthy respect for Cleveland. And if you just look at just what the teams look like going into that game, the physicality the Knicks had to endure, specifically on Saturday, there's some holdover in that. And you're being on the road, too, where the Knicks have struggled against good teams. We could talk about that. But still, I do think that it was a Cleveland spot. And a lot of the sharp bettors were also on Cleveland to win that game.
But sometimes in the season, you're going to have these spots. These spots are going to come up.
Yeah.
I think what I'm learning for this, and then we're going to move on to the questions. This Knicks team right now, the fans and the team, they're just trying to get to April. Like, I get it. There's not much to watch with this team. Yes, you're going to have your eyes on the San Antonio game on Sunday. You're going to have your eyes on the Thunder game next week, and you want the Knicks to show up in those performances. But here's the thing. You know when you don't play 3 games in 4 nights? In the playoffs. That's when it doesn't happen. So you can't trip too much about this. Now, do you like the fact that Cat had 5 shots in this game? I don't love it, but he was doubled against 2 good defensive bigs. He did 5 turnovers, but I thought for the most part he played in the flow of the game. He did not try to force too much. We've seen that go wrong in a completely different way. Mikal Bridges had 17 shots. I know a lot of y'all want him to be aggressive. Not that aggressive. I get it. Y'all want to be aggressive, not that aggressive.
Usually he'll have the 5, and Cat will have the 17.
It was have the 17, and it looks bad.
And it doesn't look great.
They had an abnormally bad shooting quarter.
Yeah.
This happens during the course of the season. This isn't like the Detroit game. The Detroit game, we had criticisms, we had concerns.
100%.
This game, no.
I have questions about a Knicks-Cavs series that may be some of the questions that we'll get.
Will James Harden show up in Game 6 and 7? That should be your question.
So I trust Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs as much as I trust guys like Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Brunson, like the guards that we typically put in that group. Probably trust Jalen Brunson a little bit more.
Do you trust the rest of those guys?
That's the issue. Probably trust Jalen Brunson a little bit more because of what he's done, especially lately. But
by the rest of the guys, I mean the other Cavaliers players.
But Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and James Harden especially. You know I'm a James Harden playoff atheist. I've said this a lot. But and with the other two bigs, it's been kind of shaky. Now, Evan Mobley had some moments last playoff run, but I don't know what to do with sort of the rest of that team. That being said, because they have Donovan Mitchell, that should help uplift all of them. And remember, they did have some injuries last year and even the year before in that Cleveland versus Boston series in round 2. So part of it is also going to be health. That's inevitable. I do think they have better players around them now. Like, they have a better rotation. It's not a more talented rotation than the Knicks, but we'll see. In a playoff series, though, Detroit's the one where I'm like, ooh, I don't know how many answers you're going to have for that one. We'll talk about it.
We have plenty of time.
We have plenty of time
to
get
about
into
that.
it.
But we're going to get to your questions here. We always have some good questions and comments. We are taking a lot of these from YouTube. That a lot of the comments that we've had in our video. So we're going to start this off with @JamRockAlways. I like the name.
I
love the name.
Hell
I
yeah.
love the name. Welcome to Jamrock, one of my favorite albums from Damian Marley.
Yeah.
Fantastic one there. He or she says the only aspect of this Knicks team that represents a borough, not even the city as a whole, is the offense reflects flying over Manhattan with the glitz and glamour. The other boroughs are lunch pail and grind. Brooklyn, pre-parts that
Lunch
are
pail,
gentrified.
grit and grind.
Brooklyn, pre-parts that are gentrified. He says there, as we get this to come back up here, Queens, Bronx, and Staten Island. Those are the boroughs that should represent the defense. Huh. That's very interesting.
Wait, can we read this last part again?
Yeah. Other boroughs are lunch pail, grit, and grind. Brooklyn, pre-parts that are gentrified. He's talking about old Brooklyn.
Yeah,
I got that.
So not Williamsburg.
Yes.
Not New Crown Heights.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Not
Like
New Bed-Stuy.
we're locked in, you know?
Queens, Bronx, and Staten Island. Those are boroughs that should represent the defense. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you've watched the show, and we've talked a little bit about this.
Staten Island?
I'm gonna leave that alone. Shout out to our guy Kazim. Shout out to Cass. That's shout out to Cass.
And always shout out to the Woo.
And shout out to the Woo.
Yeah. I mean, look, a Staten Island and aggression, sure, I'm down with that. It's just what type we're talking about.
I hear what Jamrock is saying, that he does not feel like this team right now.
He or she,
yeah, represents the city.
We've talked about this.
There's a strong attachment for a lot of Knicks fans to the 23-24 team. I understand why. I don't think you guys are tripping on this. That team, they would fight. We saw them fight in the game. Let's bring up Cleveland again. Jalen Brunson went down. Do you remember that game? 23-24, Jalen Brunson goes down in that Sunday night game.
Yeah.
He gets injured. He's out for the game.
Yeah.
Deuce McBride steps up as a big one. They always had that fight to them. I want to be very clear about what I'm saying here. I'm not saying this team doesn't have fight, because we saw them just come back against the Rockets. Clearly they have fight. We saw them come back in the NBA Cup championship game against the Spurs. We saw them come back against the Cavs on Christmas Day. We've seen comebacks from this team. What they don't have is, I know what you mean, it's that oomph, that New York toughness that Knicks fans like. They don't have that. They don't have the physicality.
Collectively, no.
There
are individuals who do. And I think that's sort of the struggle that people have with
people want
players
that
on this team.
The team. That's what they want.
A lot from our conversations with you guys throughout the course of the year, y'all don't feel like certain guys on this team have it.
Maybe that's true.
You know, which Mikal Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't know who else I would put in this category, because I don't think people are putting Jalen Brunson in this bucket.
Definitely not. OG is definitely not going in there.
OG.
Mitch is not in there. Deuce is definitely not in there.
Jose Alvarado,
Shamit's
obviously.
Not in there. The problem is, let's just keep it a buck. The two people you mentioned are the two players that people feel are the most integral to probably this team's playoff success. And I don't think that's crazy.
In terms of dictating
the variance of where they can
because
go.
You know what you're getting from Brunson.
Right.
And honestly, you kind of know what you're getting from OG at this point, for the most part. At least when he's healthy. Like, you feel good about, okay, He's going to switch. He's going to be versatile defensively. He can hit his corner threes. He could even dribble drive now sometimes. Hit a pull-up mid-range jumper or go all the way to the basket. Like, for the most part, you know what he's going to get. And he's your most important and best two-way player. But he's been more reliable this year. It's the other two guys. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jamrock, and thank you for the comment, really.
Yes.
I think this comment is more centered around those two dudes. And to some degree, Mike Brown, based on the criticisms that we've heard from you guys about Mike Brown this season, because I think some people have it out for him too. Again, I think with Mike Brown, we're just going to judge him on the spring.
Because that's what he's going to
like,
be judged on.
He was hired for the spring. The regular season matters. All the stuff that we've been talking about, like, it does matter. But what he will be judged on is his performance in April, May, and potentially June, if there's a June. If there's not a June, then that's going to be a problem for a lot of people. But April and May, like, that's what he's going to be judged on.
No, it's fair. That's the good comment, Jamrock. I understand what you
by
are
the way,
saying.
do you agree? Do you agree with this? Like, we should probably answer that part of it. Because
right now,
I love the spirituality behind this comment.
I like the spirituality behind this comment, and you kept it real New York, Jamrock. Yeah, you know what? I agree. I'm gonna just keep it short.
Yeah,
this team does not have that energy right now that you want to see. Now, can that energy come out later in the playoffs? Look, I'm gonna keep it a buck. If you're gonna see this energy from Cat, I don't listen. I don't think that's a switch you could turn on. Either you're about that life or you're not.
11 years in.
You know what I mean? Cat, to me, I trust more that the physicality can come out actually more than Mikal Bridges. I actually have more faith that because I've seen it come out. Yeah. I've seen it come out from Cat in spurts. It's about whether it's controlled.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think if he brings that kind of physicality, and I want to notice we're very clear about we're using the word physicality. We're not calling players soft here because I don't think that. I think that's word is used way too lazily.
Yeah.
But
that's fair.
If he brings that, I do think that could be infectious to the team.
Yeah.
Like sometimes all it takes is one person to change, and he is that variance. He's that big of an X factor that if he brings that, now you might feel that energy a little bit differently.
Fans' favorite teams are going to be ones who they identify with the city. Like the reason the Pistons love this current team is because it reminds them of other Pistons teams in how hard they play, how they play defensively. Yeah. How tough they are, how tough they appear to be, even though they're not, like, super talented. But even their best teams weren't, like, super talented beyond Isaiah Thomas, beyond, like, Chauncey Billups later on, Rasheed Wallace, obviously, Ben Wallace, who was a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. But the Knicks have that, too. Like, Knicks fans' favorite teams, especially the younger Knicks fans, are the grittier ones as well. 90s Knicks, we know what that era was. And even the 54-win Melo team, like that was a team with Melo and a whole bunch of veterans, for the most part at least. You still had like Amon Shumpert there. But
they played with that edge.
Yeah, right.
You had. I wouldn't call that
Melo especially.
I don't think that team was overly physical, but I know what you mean. I get it. Like that team played with an edge that the Garden got behind.
Yeah.
That Knicks fans got behind.
And then 23-24 is like the most recent example. And I've said it too. I think fans have a really uneasy time about this iteration of the team after adding Mikal and Karl-Anthony Towns because not only have they not been playing up to very high expectations considering the cost for both of them, but the way that they play and how they can flow in and out and the stupid things that Karl-Anthony Towns does offensively, leading the league in offensive fouls, and Mikal Bridges not being the defender he was advertised to be, I think that all falls into this comment.
I do. Good comment, Jamrock. Our next one from @SeanHayes1. He said, I'm going to just say this. You know when someone starts with, I'm going to just say this, they're going to leave
and
something.
And then when they give a flat out,
brutal honesty. The Pistons seem to have an extra gear that the Knicks don't have. No matter how intense the game gets, the Pistons maintain their speed and footwork on defense for 4 straight quarters. Plus, just using the eye test, the Pistons team is just bigger and stronger than the Knicks as well. The only way the Knicks will beat the Pistons is if they knock down their clean, open looks. The Pistons were knocking down their shots, but the Knicks are always in a mental rush to get a shot off because the Pistons are in their heads. I'm going to take the last part of what he said right here. I do think, based particularly on the last game, and we had the homie Tarika Foster-Brasby sit with us, and she brought up if they were in their head or not. I do think there's something to that. I do think when I look at that comment, there's a little bit too much focus on the offense, which is not – the offense is not bothering me necessarily against the Pistons. Do the Knicks need to hit open shots when they get it? Yes. It's the defensive resistance or lack of that is the most bothersome thing to me with the Pistons. In terms of what that commenter just said about the gear, we've seen the Pistons clearly have looked more amped up for these regular season games against the Knicks.
They were 3-1 against the Knicks last year in the regular season.
They were, and then they lost, right? And I think this team is better. I want to be very clear about that. But it comes down to the playoffs. I don't know if as much as the extra gear as though the Knicks haven't been resistant against what the Pistons do well, which is cutting. We've talked about this, moving without the ball, finding guys. They have repeatedly beat the Knicks defense. The Pistons are not a good shooting team. We just saw them play the Spurs, and the Spurs, who have a good defense, they missed a lot of good looks against them. I think the Knicks, obviously, they have to make their looks. Offense, to me, against the Pistons is not the problem. It is defense against the Pistons because they've been the more physical team. They have not responded to their physicality. They have not shown that extra effort of resistance against them. That, to me, is the major problem. I understand why it looks like they have another gear. So I do get that point, right? And I do feel like it's a little bit in their head. And the reason I will comment on that and say I agree with that to some degree, when the Knicks have gotten down against the Pistons, I said this before in the live, where's the fight?
Yeah.
Where has the fight been? And that's when you start realizing when things start snowballing, are you like, oh, yeah, man, they got us again. And I know some of y'all out there like to use the word quit, which I think is way too strong here, and I'm not using that. But there was not resistance is what I'm saying. And so that's my response to the comment. I think it's less about offense with the Pistons and more about defense.
I think I mostly agree with the comment. I also don't think it's Pistons specific. I think that's the glaring one, but we've had some other instances this year where it's like, okay, where's the fight leading, going back to the first comment, the first thing we talked about. But then there are other instances where they show fight, and then that's where you get pissed off because it's like, where's the consistency? Like, where is it at that point?
But that's kind of, I don't mean to cut you off, bro, but that's the major word that I think is fair to talk about with this Knicks team. If you want to tell me inconsistency is your word or lack of consistency, I'm in 100% agreement with that.
Yeah, but I still think the Pistons do pose matchup problems, just like schematic matchup problems that I don't know if fight is going to be the end-all, be-all when it comes down to, hey, you have 3 guys in your rotation who are smaller than the Pistons' smallest rotation player in Dennis Jenkins, and you're going to play them in that series in Landry Shamet, Jose Alvarado, and Jalen Brunson, leading to the size conversation. Also, Deuce McBride if he does end up playing in that series.
You've been saying this all season long and in these matchups, and you're talking about the word that I think I agree with you. I want to be very clear.
Yeah.
That I don't think enough people are bringing up. You always like, Dex, is there a personnel issue? And I think sometimes fans do not want to either accept that because size does matter at times, right? And if you don't got it and it's a bad matchup for you, ain't nothing you can do about that.
It's not just the size, too. It's like you have guys on the team who can guard multiple positions all over the place, like even Takade Cunningham, not just Isaiah Stewart, not just even Jalen Duren, who can switch out onto guards and look competent, and not even guys like just Ron Holland, who could obviously guard probably at least 3 positions. You know what I mean? And not to mention Asar Thompson either. But you also have
great on ball
right. You know, if he can stay on the floor. And then you also have Duncan Robinson, who's been in a lot of playoff games. He has probably the most playoff experience on that team. And it's been to multiple finals. Yeah. And but like he's not like a lockdown defender, but he knows how to play good team defense within a team defense who is in the top whatever it is. And Detroit is obviously elite now. He was on some really good Miami defenses. And Tobias Harris has obviously had a lot of playoff experience. Like, they just have a team that makes a lot of sense. They just have a team that really gels and everyone knows what they're doing and knows who they are. And that's something that the Knicks haven't always nailed this year. Like, we've heard comments about what are the defined roles of this team, guys kind of not knowing where they're supposed to be. Like some of that reporting's gotten out there where people have questioned the roles. Coincidentally, 2 of the guys we've talked about, it's mainly centered around them, Mikal Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns. So I think Detroit just has more clarity in who they are and what they're trying to be. And sometimes that's what matters more because it comes down to identity. And we've questioned what the Knicks' identity is all season long.
I don't know what it is.
Like, we've questioned it. And there's been times where they've shown you, like, oh, that can be it right there. Like that fourth quarter comeback against Houston. But also, if you're coming back all the time, that's just exhausting and probably not that sustainable unless you're the Indiana Pacers, which they nearly won a championship off of it. But they did a whole bunch of other things, and they had an identity last year, to be clear. OKC has an identity. The Spurs, I think, have an identity right now.
But I want to your point, you brought up the Pacers. I think it's from last year. The Pacers, and I brought this up on the show before, the Pacers were 22-19 after 41 games last year. If you would have asked at the midway point of the season if that Pacers team had an identity, if you watch the league, you'd have said absolutely not. They did not have an identity there. Point being, sometimes your identity gets formed late in the season.
Yeah.
It happens.
Their identity was Tyrese Halliburton got healthy.
That's part of it.
And then everything else made sense.
But then everything else clicked around it, right? I don't know what that turning point could be for the Knicks. As I said, I don't know what their identity is right now. Now, do I think that is a problem? Yes. Do I think there's time to still develop an identity? Yes. Two things can be true. Is it getting late early? Yes. Yeah. All those things can be true.
And does Mike Brown need to figure it out?
Yeah, but he'll be judged on whether he figures it out by the playoffs.
And I don't think I don't know what identity this team had last year, which brings me back to personnel. I think the team had an identity 2 years ago, the team that we just talked about, in 23-24.
I think last year the team was trying to figure out an identity, but it got more of a pass because the guys there had been so many years of them playing in the Tibbs system. So it kind of overshadowed all that. Yeah. Now with the new coach.
And it was the first year with Cat and first full year with OG.
Right.
First year with Mikal.
Which is funny, though, because if I think people just calmed down and thought about it a little bit logically, yes, you now replace the coach, and now you're changing some things. So it's going to take some time. Would you like to have seen it already? Yes, but for everybody out there, including ourselves, who are we to say when the identity should come for a team that's had change in a coach? Like, we can all we think it should be that easy, but it's not that easy.
You'll take it if it comes in the playoffs. I don't know if it'll be there, but you'll take it if it comes in the playoffs.
Ideally, you'd like it to come before that. You'd like it to come before that. All right.
Yeah.
Next question we have Dan10 team. Excuse me. What scares me about this team is two things: that we may have been experiencing the current roster's absolute ceiling in those two games versus Detroit, and we still don't have an offense when JB's not on the court. Just several guys that like to run around a lot. Assuming they're not going to give Kolek minutes, as far as I'm concerned, we established our ceiling as a, quote, everybody stand around and watch JB Cook team a year ago. And I was hoping to break through to the finals this year with a much more impressive roster, but I have trouble seeing this team making the finals if JB needs to play hero ball every game and they won't move him off ball, which works with a real point guard on the ball. But they want to play the half dozen combo guards we have in that position instead. May as well bring back Alec Burks. You got an Alec Burks mention.
You have Landry Shamet on the team already. I don't know if you
make him the backup point guard if we're going to bail on non-JB scoring. Long story short, that was a long story. I'm worried.
Okay,
look, man,
I think.
Yeah, you go first on this one.
I think part of this is also why aren't guys playing up to expectations when JB is not on the floor? Because you should be able to be like, okay, Mikal Bridges, go get a bucket or go create some offense, generate some offense. He's not a point guard. That's not what I'm saying. But when he was with the Nets, you saw it as a first option. It was absolutely not where he should be all the time. No. But you saw more than what you are now, and that was him as a first option. Now you want him to be a fourth option. And there are times you forget about him just being on the floor. So
he disappears.
Yeah, and it's like you should have more answers there. It felt like early on in the year, Dex, when we were looking at this, like we were talking about ways for them to get Jalen Brunson moving off the ball, standing in the corner, and then coming back into the action, not just bringing the ball up and just getting it back, but starting without the ball, like actually like trying to move without the ball, go get it, and then make something happen. Or just make better from a point guard perspective. It feels like they tried some of those things early. I'd like to find the data on it. It feels like they tried some of those things early and then moved away from it because it just wasn't producing any results because of the other guys on the team. Like not to say Jalen Brunson's blameless, because I actually think if he were more of a point guard, that could solve some issues. But it doesn't look like the team is also like coming through in that way. Like Mikal Bridges again. The play's been so inconsistent. Towns has been very inconsistent. OG's been in and out of the lineup lately, was in and out earlier in the year for a little bit. and he's been more consistent offensively, but he shouldn't be like your second best offensive player. I think he's your best two-way player, but that's because he's your best defender. And most versatile defender. He shouldn't be your second best offensive player. That should be Karl-Anthony Towns on a more consistent basis. And then otherwise, you're hoping that guys make three-point shots. And overall, the roster is just not consistent. Like with Jalen Brunson, without Jalen Brunson, around Jalen Brunson, it doesn't really matter. And I think he needs to be like better from a playmaking standpoint, but in order to make plays and in order to get assists, guys have to make shots. And that's part of it too.
Yeah, I always feel like, that's a great point about assists. Like people always like, oh, why does he have more dimes? It's like, well, you can look at expected assists and guys, if you pass somebody, are they making shots? That, to your point of Mikal Bridges, a lot of talk this year, some degree last year, was he should be that secondary shot creator on this team, particularly in lineups when Jalen Brunson's not there. That has not happened in a good way. And I agree with you. Nobody's asking for him to be Nets Mikal Bridges. I don't think that is realistic.
Yeah.
But the fact that he doesn't really give you any of that on a consistent basis. Look, I know he took 17 shots against the Cavs, but even we just said pump the brakes. He doesn't give you any of that on a consistent basis. To your point and the commenter's point about Brunson being off the ball, and I don't disagree with some of that. You're right. We saw some of that early on, but then I think you know where that went? When you have the shakiness of, well, what's Tyler Kolek? Can he really do it? Can you play him on the floor? You can already see Coach Brown trust Alvarado way more with Jalen Brunson. And if you look at when Jalen Brunson, if you've been watching the last couple of games, this will be for a film study shortly or down the road, you've seen Brunson play a lot more off ball. Look at that fourth quarter against Houston. Mm-hmm. Alvarado was running the show. Brunson was doing some good things off the ball. I know you're going to look and say, well, Brunson hit those big shot stats, but watch some of those possessions. Alvarado had the ball early. Brunson was coming off of screens. Then he got it. Then he was going. It freed him up. It made him much more decisive. Now, are you going to do that every possession? No. Are you going to need Jalen Brunson to score buckets for you late in tight games? Absolutely. For folks who think they're going to go away from that, no. But what you want is, can the offense get a little bit more diverse earlier in games so that you're not as predictable late, right?
Yeah.
And when Jalen Brunson might be willing to give it up, even though he's still their best option to take a shot late in the game when it's tight, you want to see some of that. But this, again, goes to what Bryan is saying, and I completely agree with him. This is on players, guys, or personnel. If the players are not executing it, it's not like Mike Brown didn't try. It's not like Mike Brown hasn't drawn up plays for that, right? We talk about this all the time. Oh, we need this. You need more of this. But Mike Brown can't do it when he's on the court. Mike Brown's not having Karl-Anthony Towns lead the league in offensive fouls. Mike Brown is not having Mikal Bridges not go to the rim at all. I was going to say not finish at the rim. His finishing is good, but he doesn't ever go there.
He had a dunk the other night that stunned me.
Yeah. Okay, that's players. That's not scheme. I keep saying this. It's players, not scheme. The players have to execute that. Players have to look at themselves in the mirror, and trust me, I know the players have talked about this and say, yo, we need to help Brunson. We need to move the ball. We need to be cutting more. Because trust me, me, guys, the coaching staff is saying this to them.
100%.
If you think the coaching staff is not saying it to them, I don't know what.
There's a self-awareness on this team, but it's also like doing it. And even Detroit, who's not as talented an offensive team, for example. But you look at them, and again, this goes back to identity. A lot of this will go back to identity and just knowing who they are. Duncan Robinson is going to be moving around no matter what the play is. Like, he's always going to be in motion. He's only going to be standing in a corner if somebody else is driving, and Cade Cunningham can draw two and then kick out to him for a three-point shot. So you're seeing, even against the Knicks and against other teams, against OKC at the time we're talking about this, like Duncan Robinson will be on the opposite corner, and then he'll flow to this corner. He'll just cut around the baseline. Somebody else will replace them, cut to the basket. Like, they have actions all the time when somebody's at the top of the key, when somebody's at the wing, looking to figure things out, setting screens here. Now, all of a sudden, Duncan Robinson's moved from here. He brought a defender here, like to the opposite corner. Asar Thompson's cutting, to give them another look. And then all of a sudden, you're looking at Cade Cunningham running through a pick and roll. You have a cutter in Asar Thompson. You have a three-point shooter in Duncan Robinson. You have a roller, too, who's going to be either behind or in front of Asar Thompson, depending on where they are on the floor. Like, it could sound confusing, but, like, if you look at it schematically or if you just look at it during the course of a game, they know who they are. And because they're not as offensively talented, and they're not even, like, a team with tremendous true shooting or anything like that, but they know who they are. They know they want to get to the basket also. And because they have an identity, like, it just makes more sense basketball-wise. This Knicks team, like, they flow in and out of things that just don't make a ton of sense. And you just watch guys standing around and they're ball watching Jalen Brunson. And then people are arguing about whose fault it is, Jalen Brunson hogging the ball or nobody else moving around for him.
I think some of it is the team reverting back to bad habits that they had under Tibbs. And I'm not blaming Tibbs for that specifically. The offense just wasn't as diverse. I think one of the things we've forgotten in the conversation this year is at the beginning of the season, on Media Day, Coach Brown talked about, hey, we're going to be doing a lot of read and react stuff. We're not going to be calling a lot of plays. Guys are going to learn to read and react. And I think that's something that's gotten lost on fans in that that's going to take time to then adjust with all the different defenses you see. Now, with that being said, the Knicks are still a top 5 offense. Playing read and react, not running many plays. They're still a top 5 offense here. And we still think they have a ceiling to go. Now, look, I think some people focus way too much on the offense more for this team. You and I have talked about it plenty in the show. The thing that's going to get this team to where they need to go is they got to be better and more connected on defense.
Yes.
They have not done that. The offense is fine. I still think it can be better. I hear people.
Yeah.
But I think you
but
also –
it's fifth.
It's fifth. But with a new offense and new read and react stuff that they're doing, Mike Brown is not calling a lot of plays. He's letting guys figure it out. So what do I say again? Players have agency, guys. Yeah. Either they're making the plays or they're not. Like this is what
it's going to be defense in the playoffs. Like defense is going to be the thing that we watch. And frankly, the other 3 contenders in the Eastern Conference have higher defensive ceilings than they do. So that's the thing that they have to really account for. I think they have a high offensive ceiling. They're top 5 right now. Maybe they could finish the season top 3. Mm-hmm. But Cleveland, Boston, and Detroit, which obviously the last one's very obvious, all have higher defensive ceilings. They do. So that's going to be the thing that either makes or breaks this playoff run.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna be interesting. All right, moving on to the next question. At Jimmy Nibs 746, it goes without saying JB was going to be clutch down the stretch. That's what he does. However, and this isn't a knock on him, but he's not a pure point guard that makes his teammates better. Okay, he's a score-first point guard. I don't disagree. He's highly intelligent, but he doesn't have that pass-first instinct in which fractions of a second can mean all the difference with a teammate being in the best position to score. Okay, so, yeah, we know that, like, can we just get this out the way? We all understand Jalen Brunson's not a pass-first point guard.
Yeah.
And it's not changing. Like, he's not all of a sudden going to turn into Steve Nash, you know what I'm saying, or John Stockton, or Magic Johnson. It's not going to happen, right?
Do you need to be that to make players better?
No.
Will be my question.
I say no.
Because GM survey, he's like top 2 in votes for best leader in the NBA, essentially. Like literally for multiple years. And I think the leadership that he's provided has at least gotten them through like some of their rough patches that could have been worse had he not been there. On the court stylistically, I do have questions about whether or not he makes the team better from a playmaking standpoint. But again, part of that is also the lack of identity, guys not hitting shots. I think it's more obvious when you have a Tyrese Halliburton who clearly makes guys better. But just because you're getting assists doesn't mean you're making teammates better. Hello, Trae Young. Like that's part of it.
That's a great point, and just because that's a great point. I think people conflate those two things. I think SGA makes teammates better. He's not a high assist guy, right?
And he wasn't even like he's a better passer now. He wasn't even like a great passer before now.
No, and I think Brunson is a okay passer. He's fine.
Yeah,
he's fine.
Is he comparable to what Damian Lillard was at the height of his days in Portland?
No, but I think the point you made earlier,
and I would still say Damian Lillard made guys better too.
Yes, but I think the point you made earlier is there's a lot of guys that just stand around and watch and get into old habits, and a lot of that blame from the fans gets put on Jalen Brunson. And I'm like, guys, I'm going to bring it up again. It's a read and react system. It is not just the point guard that has to read and react. You know who else has to read and react? The other 4 players on the court. They've got to read and react too. So you can't just put it all on the point guard. Now look, the way some guys aren't showing up, I understand why Jalen Brunson late. It's like, this is going to be on me.
Yeah.
Because Mikal Bridges ain't going to do it. Karl-Anthony Towns, I don't know what that experience is going to be like. I get how you get to that point. I just think I think other guys have to be better that is going to open up the offense. I think less of this is on Jalen Brunson. Would I love to see Jalen Brunson's numbers go up? Sure. But assists are not the only indicator. I agree with you 100% about making other guys better. It is not the only indicator at all whatsoever.
It's not. Like, you've seen guys get ridiculous assist numbers, and it doesn't always mean. Sometimes it just means they just have the ball until 5 seconds are left, and they're finding a shooter or somebody who's cutting to the basket, and then they're getting the assist because it's late in the shot clock. Like, it doesn't always mean you're making guys better. That being said, I do think there's room for him to make guys better than he has.
And he can be better.
Yeah,
sure.
and he could absolutely be better. But I think going back to, what you say about the defense should be more of a focus as we continue to field questions about the offense. I think this applies to Jalen Brunson also, where we're picking apart the offense a little bit, where the defense, and he's been more competitive lately, and he's drawing charges. We know he does that. But there's only so much he can do defensively. But at the same time, that's going to be the thing that if Jalen Brunson is going to hurt you in any way in the postseason, it's going to be because of the defense. Like, it's going to be because it's a bad matchup. Who's he going to guard in the Cleveland series, for example? That's going to be a tough one. Is it going to be James Harden? Is it going to be Jalen Tyson, who's going to use his physicality from the wing spot? James Harden, we know what he can do, obviously. From Boston, who is he going to guard in that series? I guess Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard's having a good year again and has been playing better since he's been back in a 6-man role and will continue to do that once Jason Tatum comes back, if he does. And then Detroit, again, the size difference is going to matter. So I think defensively is where we should focus if we're going to really pick apart Jalen Brunson. Offensively, he's given you enough ultimately to win. I would like to see him average like 9-10 assists per game if it's within the flow of the offense and if it's actually making guys better, not for the sake of just doing it, because you could also do it if you just have a 40% usage rate.
Which is interesting, right? Because I was just looking that up as you said that his usage rate is according to Cleaning the Glass, right? 32.8. So this is in the 87th percentile. I think one of the things that, and I was thinking
which is high, which is really high.
But one of the things that I was thinking about when you have that high of a usage rate, the thing I always look at, it's funny, people go right to assists, but it's like, yo, what's your turnover rate?
Yeah.
Do you turn the ball over a lot? And he only turns the ball over 8.6% of the time, which is in the 91st percentile.
It's crazy.
Which is really good for somebody that has the ball in their hands
a lot.
that much. Now, again, in a perfect offense, the way I like things built, would I like to see him have the ball in his hands a little bit? Yes. But this was the point the commentator's making too, though, right? Who you trusting?
Look, if Mikal were playing better, his Jalen Brunson's usage rate would be down. If Karl-Anthony Towns were more consistent, Jalen Brunson's usage rate would be down, and he would look more like a standard point guard, like an actual point guard.
And maybe his assists go up a little bit more. And so it's like assists are not just a product of the point guard. Remember, assists has to work. You pass the ball, person has to make the shot.
Yeah,
that's how it's happened.
Yeah.
Moving on. At Craig V367, God's Man 4. A lot of numbers in there, Craig. JD absolutely nailed it regarding Cat and his foul situation. This was on the last episode of New York Got Game. JD from Knicks Fan TV was on with me, and we had a conversation about Cat. He said Cat gets fouled almost every time he goes to the basket if he's not hooking the defender. However, him crying to the refs on every possession has the refs turning a deaf ear to him and not even calling the obvious ones. He is also not balanced many of the times and is falling and flailing his arms. Bryan has mentioned this many times. He has to learn to take the call if he gets it, and gets back on D if he doesn't. Now,
this is an NBA problem. It's not specific to Towns.
I agree with that.
These dudes are just complaining after every play. It's ridiculous.
JD was making the point that it doesn't help his cause. And JD and I also made the point, and I had said this on the show, before the Rockets game, I was having lunch with my boy, and we were talking about this. And my boy, who's a personal trainer, shout out to my boy Anthony, he was like, yo, Cat's base is not strong, right? Right? He's like, when he drives, he's never balanced. He's always off. And I was like, yeah, I agree. And I brought this up on the show, and then JD was responding to it. And this commentator was agreeing, and I agree with everything he said. I agree with you that it is.
Well, I don't agree with the part that he gets fouled on every play. He does not get fouled on every play.
No, I don't. Well, let me put that part. I don't think
that's excessive.
He does sometimes get. I'm not going as far as some of you guys out here. Does sometimes he get a bad whistle? Yes. Sometimes he's going, and we see him get hacked before it's called. But a lot of times we'll see him, and Bryan, I've talked about this, so I don't want to belabor the point. He's gotten hacked, and then he does something crazy like this, or flails the arm, and it's like, yo, you're not helping yourself. You're not helping yourself at all whatsoever. And yes, I also agree. I don't think complaining to the refs, which is not a cat problem, it is a NBA problem.
It's everybody.
And
have y'all seen the Lakers?
Yeah, Luka Doncic. JD brought this up. He's like, he's the big man, Luka Doncic. Look, and Luka Doncic, I love Luka Doncic, but come on.
Yeah, it's just enough.
It's enough at this time.
Enough.
Listen, none of it helps. Here's what I want to say, and I'll have something coming out later in the week on this with Cat. Cat's been playing a little bit better post All-Star break offensively. There's some things I've liked about what he's done. He's cut down on offensive fouls. He's
from one a game.
Look, man.
Progress is progress.
Look, man.
You know?
A statement I love. All progress is beautiful. I say it all the time. All progress is beautiful. You got to take the progress as small as it is. In a small sample size, you better enjoy that progress because you don't know if you're
fair enough. He has been better lately.
He has been better lately, particularly offensively, and the offensive process for him, I will say, has been better.
Yeah.
But this thing right here that we're talking about, this has to be gone by the playoffs.
It won't. This is who he is. Like
Look,
this is what you traded for.
It's a momentum killer.
I know, but this was part of the package when you trade. You knew this.
No,
this is why when we were talking about the trade, you were hesitant from the beginning.
I was
because
of that.
Because this is look.
Because I was like, is he going to stay on the floor? What I said to Bryan was, is he going to stay on the floor in moments when you need him? And that's what I mean about that in the playoffs.
Like it's just he's 11 years in. You know what I mean? Like,
so you're saying it is what it is.
What is this? His third or fourth contract? Like, he's been here for a minute. I don't know if this is changing. Now, it's not to invalidate the commenter's point because I think it's mostly correct. But I don't know if that's going to change. If it changes, great. And maybe there will be moments that it does. But over the course of like an entire playoff run and an entire series, I don't know if that's going to change.
If it changes, you said great. If it changes, all of y'all should be jumping for joy. Because if it changes, that means he'll actually be on the court. He's probably playing well. And that is huge in terms of the Knicks.
You could do it for a game. You could do it for a couple games. A whole series? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Listen.
Can't escape old habits forever.
Look, man. I'm just saying, if he can do what you need of him, this is what you really need. I'm just saying, assuming the series goes 7 or not, if I told you right now, you can get 5 Cat games where that doesn't happen, you will sign for that.
Only 5?
But that's what you need to win.
I mean, last year the playoffs were very uneasy, but he had the game 3 in Indiana to save their season, where he bugged out. I think it was specifically in the fourth quarter. And then he made some shots against the Pistons, and I forget which game that was. That was game 4? Yeah, that was in Detroit. Mm-hmm. Just ridiculous shots, right? And that's why the experience with him is maddening, and that's why he is who he's been over the course of his career, where he's talented enough to be an all-star every year, and he's been an all-star several times. He may be in the Hall of Fame someday. Like, it's possible that he is, but
he's on track for that.
At the same time, this is part of the experience. So I don't know if that's going to change also. Dudes are going to complain about calls. It's the NBA. Brunson does it. Cat does it. Mikhail does it. I mean, we were covering the Nets. I listen. I love Spencer Dinwiddie, but once I saw him doing it every single play, I was like, oh yeah, we've jumped the shark on this. And he was like borderline all-star that year. It was 2018-19 season before he broke his thumb, and that's when I noticed like, yeah, everyone's just doing it. I've seen dudes on 2-way contracts doing it. Like, it just is what it is. It's an NBA league. It's an NBA-wide problem, and yes, the officiating should be better. That's part of it, but it just stop complaining after every call, every non-call.
Before we move on, I'll say again, the last 4 games, small sample size, post-break, he's been more under control, right? If he can stay that under control. Although I'm with Bryan, I'm not saying I would bet some money on that. I'm not saying you'll get the 5 out of 7 in the series, but if you do, it could be really nice. Okay, moving on. Next up, we've got @PraiseG423. He says, have to give Coach Brown respect for playing the players that want to play with an edge. Best win of the season for sure. Now, this comment is coming after the Rockets game, which I said after the game in the video could be the best win of the season. Mm-hmm. I also did give
home win for sure.
Yes, you can say that. You can say the Denver game.
Statter Denver, yeah.
Cleveland, Christmas, for sure.
Yeah.
But what I said is I watched that game, and I saw Mike Brown go with Jose Alvarado, Landry Shamet, Jalen Brunson. Not a lot of size there, people.
Against Houston. That's important.
That's an important thing.
Houston,
who's got a lot of size.
Who is not playing Reed Shepherd either.
Right.
Like Ime
Not
Udoka
playing
doesn't
him
like.
He does not play him down the stretch.
He doesn't like playing him down the stretch.
And OG and Cat. And I said, and Mikal Bridges, who was not having a good defensive game, and Josh Hart, who's also not having a good defensive game. And I said,
he's done this multiple times, by the way.
Yeah,
with Mikal especially.
I think that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it a good look? And you know me, I don't like bringing up the picks. But is it a good look that the guy you gave a first 5-round picks can't close the game? No.
Over Jose Alvarado?
And a minimum contract guy in Landry Shamet. None of that is a good look.
Stephen Bondi's made the point that Landry Shamet's been a better on-ball defender than Mikal Bridges this year.
He's not wrong.
By the way, if you watch the Pistons game, the most recent one, Jose Alvarado guarded Cade Cunningham more competently than Mikal Bridges and everyone else, frankly. On
we
the
saw in that game, I'll get back to the point. We saw in that game,
mm-hmm.
Cade Cunningham had Landry Shamet on him and asked for the switch for Mikal Bridges to come on him and cooked him twice in a row. That's not a good look, people. We saw it twice.
That's
okay?
crazy.
Now,
you're second in DPOI voting once.
Look, if I'm Mikal Bridges,
it's not even 30 yet.
You got to feel some kind of way about that.
Yeah.
You have to say, I got to be better about that. But here's the thing. I agree with the commenter here, who I know agrees with me because of what I said in the video. You got to give Coach Brown respect for that. It's easy to sit there and say, I'm going to play the guy that we traded 5 first-round picks for and just gave an extension and whatever.
Which the last guy might have done.
Easy to do that and close with him. And Coach Brown was like, no. I'm going to guys who want to give some resistance that I've been talking about to win, right? And I think he's done it multiple times this season with Mikal Bridges.
I was going to say.
And here's the thing. You know what I think is a good thing? He'll do it in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now, you may not like that he doesn't playoffs, but here's the thing. Y'all ain't going to care if you win. Nobody's going to care if you win.
Right.
If you win going down with Landry Shamet and Jose Alvarado, who gives a damn?
Y'all will win with Pacome Dadier if Pacome Dadier was hooping. Like, y'all, it doesn't matter. Like
I know what you mean. Too far, but I know what you mean. Nobody cares. I like that Coach Brown is willing to do that. I think it's dope. If a guy's not giving it, I don't care starter how much he's paid.
You have to be able to do that. You know who does that? You know who does that? Rick Carlisle does that.
Yep.
Eric
Spoelstra
does that.
Set the tone of accountability.
Spoelstra does that.
I'm all about that.
Popovich.
Set the tone of accountability. Mm-hmm. This guy's playing well. He's giving the effort I want out there on defense. He's going to play. Now, either that lights a fire under some guys or it doesn't. We've also seen him bench Cat.
Yes.
We've seen this multiple times this season.
Mm-hmm.
That should be applauded. That shows you I'm not rigid to a lineup. I will make changes. I'm watching the game. I'm seeing what works. I'm seeing what doesn't. Even in the Cleveland game, where they could not hit the broadside of a barn in that game, he dusted off Jordan Clarkson in that game because the offense looked so bad. Hey, he tried. It didn't work, but he tried. This is what the regular season's for.
Yes.
And this
100%.
is how you're going to know who's made to handle certain teams, who's made to handle certain lineups, who's willing to step up. Landry Shamet, that man plays like his paycheck depends on it. And
it does. His career is on the line.
It's true.
If he has a bad season, he's gonna be in Alba Berlin next year. Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
He'll be in the Euro League.
But he plays like that. Some guys you're playing too comfortable. You're playing comfortable, sit your ass on the bench.
Yeah. By the way, Mike Brown, I'm not gonna say he's been an A+. He's been perfect. But my favorite thing about him this year is easily he's willing to do that. Like he'll start Mohamed Diawara, he'll close with Jose Alvarado, he'll bench Mikal Bridges, he'll bench Karl-Anthony Towns when they're not playing well. Like he'll keep Jalen Brunson off the floor for an extended period if Tyler Kolek has it going. Like I like that he's willing to do those things. You have to be able to do that because you can't just always close with the same 5. In 2K, you could always close with the same 5 because they have higher overalls or whatever. But in real life, that's not how basketball should work. So I appreciate that he's willing to adapt to what the game is telling him to do because that's really the hallmark of somebody who's willing to evolve as a coach.
I agree. I think it's underrated. I think that's got to be applauded more. And I think the good coaches that win in this league are the ones who are adaptable, the ones who are adaptable with their roster, their bench. The old school thing of sticking to 7 or 8, especially in playoffs. And we saw the teams that went to the finals last year. They were able to go 10, 11 deep. Yeah. That's old school stuff that I just don't think works anymore at all. So I like seeing them do that. And you know what? To the guys who got benched, get better. Be better. As simple as that. Yeah. Be better.
Sometimes it's not your night. Sometimes it's not your night. And sometimes it won't work. Like, it won't always work. But I appreciate the willingness. I appreciate the willingness to do it. Because a lot of people criticize Tibbs for not willing to do it.
To that point, and I will move on to the next one, Y'all were asking for this. You were asking for Tibbs to be more malleable.
Shamit, DeLon Wright.
Right. And now we're getting it, and we still see comments about this and that. And see, it proves the point that I've been making all the time. Even when you get the malleability, it still comes down to players executing. Mm-hmm. They still got to execute. Sometimes Brian's right. Sometimes it's going to work. Sometimes it's not. But at least he's not going down with the same ship all the time. He's like, look, if this ain't working, we're going to change some things and keep it moving. Yeah. So we'll see. Next one, great username. @say my username. Say my _user_ name. I think it's high time Josh Hart has his minutes cut. I love Josh Hart, don't get me wrong, but the fact he's still playing 30-plus minutes under Brown is baffling. He is best a 20 to 25-minute guy. I just don't understand why we're still forcing him into the starting lineup and giving him starter minutes. Now, this is an interesting comment. And why this is a very interesting comment, if you remember before the season, Bryan and I did an episode that was really fun. We used 2K, which you just shouted out, and we went through all the player minutes. And you and I said, I don't know if you remember, we were like, if we were controlling things, we would keep Josh Hart in the 25 to 28-minute range.
He was the one we cut down the most from last year.
We did. Say my username. I love Josh Hart too.
But I'm
I don't disagree.
I'm totally
with you. I'm with you 100%.
Bro or sis, I'm totally with you.
I'm with you.
Look, once you get to like week 12, week 13, you got to give your starting running back fewer carries to preserve them for the playoffs.
I like that.
Like that's what it is with Josh Hart. Like to me, you have to treat him like a running back. You have to go from 20 a game to 15 a game to 12 to 15 a game. Maybe you get a screen pass here or there. That's it. Like you have to cut his minutes, I think.
He's right at 30 minutes per game. I wanted
for the season?
Yes, right at 30.3 minutes per game.
Yeah, but he's had games like recently where he's gotten to 34, 40, 36. Now, 3 of the last 4 games, he's back down to 26, 28 in that range. You have the 32 against Chicago, which was on the second of a back-to-back. I'm not even sure why he played 32 minutes in that game in hindsight.
Because that game got too close. It was too close, probably for Mike Brown's liking.
And he played fine.
And he played fine in that
game.
game.
Yeah, he was 11, 9, and 5. But I to keep it short, because we don't need to stay long on this, I do agree with the comment. Josh Hart should be 25, 28 minutes a game. I don't really care if he starts or not. Starting is fine. It's just, to me, it's like minutes-wise. And look, if he has it, you play him. And if he doesn't, you shouldn't feel obligated to play him 28, 30 minutes.
Now, some of this, last thing, we'll move on. Some of this says Deuce is out. That's a factor here. The key for me is if he's going to play more than the minutes that you and I would like, it's about the willingness to shoot, right? And we've seen this before in play. Now, Josh Hart's having a very good season shooting from 3, shooting over 40%. He's been very good. Sometimes he gets a little cold. Sometimes he gets a little hesitant. It's about him being willing to shoot. And so, yeah, I do agree with you. Say my username. I think that 25 to 28 minutes range is perfect.
40% from 3 this year, by the way, which is nothing to sneeze at.
No, and you will gladly take that from Josh Hart. It's the willingness to let it fly.
Yeah, 40% from 3, which I did not expect that. 4.5 threes per 36 minutes too, which is about what we probably thought he should get to. So
yeah,
it's fine.
That's good. All right, next one. We have Guillermo. Sorry, you would
come on,
get
bro.
that better than me. I expect so. Guillermo Den 8993. Go to every picture of the New York Knicks defensive player of the game, and you will find the problem. Jalen Brunson, the queen, and Josh Hart, the princess. Oh, so this person's anti-roommates pod. Doesn't like to be in those pictures with the team. The only time you see the queen and the princess.
Probably not just anti-roommates pods. I'm getting vibes of anti-other things.
Princess in the picture together was when Jalen Brunson, the queen, he or she. Something tells me this is he.
Yeah. Guillermo.
Yeah, also Guillermo, yes. One, the defensive player appears with the princess. They think they are better for whatever reason. This reflects on the game. The princess wants to shine. Other way, guys. Princess wants to shine next to his queen, and Mike Brown allows this to happen. This is on Mike Brown. He can't start the princess, Josh
Huckporty?
And doesn't like Cat, I'm assuming. And Jalen Brunson, the queen, needs to create more for Cat. This is not Villanova. Okay.
I'm surprised y'all picked this comment.
Yeah, like, if you're going to pick the comments, we got to the grammar's got to be better. You got to be able to type back.
Princess Josh Hart, he
Spell
doesn't
check.
like Cat, and Jalen Brunson, the queen, needs to create for Cat. This is not Villanova. Grow the fuck up. And play the NBA game collectively as a team. For Princess, you are not that good. You got great energy. Just play your role and be a team player. So this is just a rant. Borderline misogynistic one.
Yeah, but I'm also going to say this. This feels like somebody else who's in the comments on the live show disguised under another screen name.
No.
It just feels like that person. So.
Oh, same letter, first name.
Yeah. Listen, KD has burner accounts. Why can't y'all?
No, but that person loves Cat. So I don't know if I don't know what this comment is trying to say. But I don't know. I don't get the point.
Can I say it? Can I just say this? This is ridiculous because it is. One of my things that annoys me in sometimes talking to the fan base is when people make comments like this and they say things declaratively, like they know. Mike Brown doesn't like this. This person is. You don't know. You have no idea. You have no idea. You are basing this on. We're talking about the defensive player of the game photos. That's what we're talking about at this point in the season. We're talking about the defensive player of the game photo, and you're making judgments from that about the team? Like, yo, how much time do you have to look at the defensive player of the game? And it's like, this person isn't here in this picture, and this person is here.
Jalen Brunson, by the way, just was defensive player of the year, I think, in the Houston game?
Game, not year.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, here's the thing. No, Alvarado was in that game.
He was recently for one of them
Bulls
games.
one.
It might have been the Bulls one, but I don't care I don't care who gets the fucking Timbs. I don't care who gets the construction hat.
I like it for team unity and what they do. I don't care.
Has it worked for team unity? I don't know.
I don't think they're not united. I don't think that. I don't think so.
But I'm saying,
has it worked for consistency? No.
But I'm saying for an 82 game season, like I don't care who's the player of the game. Like this isn't hockey or soccer. Like I just whatever. Like I don't care who's
even in that doesn't matter.
3-star man of the match, whatever. Like do it. Like this, I don't give a shit.
I'm just what I forgot the person's username.
Guillermo.
I'm gonna give you some advice. Watch the Knicks games. Enjoy the Knicks games. I understand they've been inconsistent. Go touch some grass. If you're out here analyzing defensive player of the game pictures, bro, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Like, come on.
Also, please do not tweet at the athletes, because some of y'all will do that. And it's just leave them alone.
What are we doing?
Like,
it's defensive player of the game photos. What are we like? We all here for the analyzing, and we critique the team and all. You critiquing the photo? You're doing too much, man. You're doing too much. Like,
yeah, I'm not trying to like.
Come on.
I have. Obviously, we've shared thoughts on Mikal Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns, but I don't do it from like a personal level. We're just talking about basketball.
Yeah, we're talking about basketball. Oh, and Guillermo, spell check. Like, if you're gonna come at people, like you gotta hit the spell check.
I was going to say something,
man.
but we should keep it moving.
Yeah,
all
we're
right.
gonna keep
What's
it
the
moving.
next comment?
That is it.
That was it.
Those are all the comments.
We ended with a bang.
We ended with a bang. I know why our producer Tommy put that at the end. I completely understand why he put that at the end because, I never thought we'd be talking about defensive player of the game photos. I never thought that would happen.
I'm not that surprised.
Here we are. All right.
Is there a tally for how many, like, who's gotten the most, who's gotten – there has to be. Somebody has a tracker somewhere.
Somebody's done it.
If they have a tracker, send it to us. Tweet it at me, please.
My gut off the top, like just off of –
probably OG.
Yeah, I think it's OG.
Yeah, even though he's been hurt. Mitch has gotten some.
I still think it's OG.
Mikal hasn't gotten it enough.
He's gotten a couple of times.
I'm going to leave Mikal alone.
Don't be mean, man. Don't be mean.
I'm not being as bad as like 99% of people.
Nah, yeah.
To be fair.
I just also can't live in that.
And I'm also keeping it basketball, like on the court.
Just keep it a basketball.
All right, he's probably a great dude. I don't know.
This was a fantastic mailbag. Some really good comments.
We love mailbags.
This is why we appreciate the questions and comments on the video.
Yes.
Because we're able to then repurpose it and bring it back into a show like this. We'll see what the Knicks do. Look, last thing I'll say, my final word. Mm-hmm. I understand the vibes don't feel that great. I do understand people. I understand where you're coming from about this team. They still have won 12 out of their last 16 games. In those 16 games, in that stretch, they have the highest net rating in the NBA in that stretch. The sky's not falling. It could be okay. It could get worse. I don't know. It can go a lot of different ways.
Very
it could be better. It could also be worse.
By the way,
I'm not telling you how to feel.
By the way, 7 of their next 19 games are on the road. I mean, 9 games, not 19. 7 of the next 9 games are on the road.
I keep saying, when you keep bringing up the road, Good.
Yeah. No, I'm just
Keep
just doing my job for the people, keeping track of this stuff. Also, against teams 500 or better on the road, they're either 5-13 or 5-14. I have to check my tracker, but it's not ideal.
You know what helps with unity sometimes? Some trips on the road.
Yeah.
There we go.
Although they'll be in Milwaukee Friday, and I don't know how much there is to do in Milwaukee, but
Milwaukee Friday, not a lot. Milwaukee Friday. Back home for the Spurs on Sunday. That'll be a big one.
That
should be fun. We will have more coverage here on New York Got Game. That is Bryan Fonseca. I'm Dexter Henry. Keep the comments coming. Let us know what you thought of this episode. Hit that like button. Subscribe as well, too. And any more comments or questions you have in the Knicks, we'll get to that on the next mailbag. But for Bryan Fonseca, I'm Dexter Henry. Catch y'all next time in another edition of New York Got Game.
And thanks for watching New York Got Game. Boom shakalaka.